calculation. Finally, a new governor emerged in Kogi State, Governor Yahaya Bello. And with the truth of his governance of one of Nigeria's most unique states, the Conference State.
His Excellency's venture into politics and eventual victory is anchored on the wings of prophecy.
Yahaya Bello was officially sworn in as the fourth executive governor of Kogi State on the 27th of January 2016, but his battles were far from over. First, he had all eyes on him as the youngest governor in Nigeria. Second, he had to manage an ethnically diverse and divided state. And third was a long thread of Supreme Court case challenging his emergence as governor after the death of Prince Abubakar Audu, the APC's flag bearer for the 2015 gubernatorial elections in Kogi State. Far from discouraged, the young governor resumed office immediately. On his first day in office, Yahaya Bello drove himself to the office with his friend and chief of staff, Edward Onoja. Now, insignificant as that seemed, not only was it new, but it was a clear first impression to the fact that a new order had just been established. Kogi State was divided across lines of thoughts and arguments. Would he be able to perform? Being from a seemingly minority tribe, will he last? Could all of this be mere youthful exuberance? But away from proving or answering any of these questions, the young governor had a more pertinent question to answer with the civil service of the state.
We actually started with public service and civil service reforms.
Kogi State, known as a civil service state, has a huge chunk of its population employed in the civil service, and as such, much of its revenue, both internally generated and federal allocation, sinks into the civil service. That was, however, not as much a problem as the wrath in the civil service before 2016.
In the past, people are used to sitting back at home or staying abroad, or even workers but pay lipstick service to service or a lackadaisical, to service.
I was told that I had 49 civil servants to work with me in the protocol department of Government House. My brothers and sisters, behold, when I call for a meeting, I want to interface with people I'm going to work with. As a JJC into the team, I could only see 25 out of 49 human beings.
From ghost workers to civil servants without qualifications and academic results to double employment and underage children of some elites and connected privileged ones in the payroll, billions of naira sank monthly into the decaying civil service unchecked.
Huge resources being lost to this setup.
A reform was much needed, one that required both courage and dexterity.
Some decisions of mine are controversial because they are not the norm. And certain things became the norm but are not good for the society. And when taking such decisions, it naturally will be controversial because those that are used to such ways of living or doing things believe that is the normal way. So when you're taking such decisions to change it, it becomes controversial.
The young governor grabbed the bull's horn and constituted a committee for a statewide civil servant screening exercise, and down came hails and storms. Now, knowing the extent of the decay and amount of surgery needed to heal the system, against odds, Governor Yahaya Bello continued on. The committee worked for months after months, and soon it was clear to all that this time around the reforms had come to stay.
The civil service reform we embarked upon was very torturous one, but we have to pass through the eye of the needle.
There were shouts clamping down on the governor for a non-payment of salaries during this period. Howbeit, it was only rational the salaries could only be paid after the screening, as only those with clear standing would be paid. After all, that was the essence of the entire exercise. Paying salaries during the exercise would not only have been wrong, but outrightly unwise. In the following months, at the end of the screening exercise, over 9,700 ghost workers were discovered amidst thousands of other forms of illegalities. At this time, the governor not only paid the salaries of all declared civil servants, but paid all outstanding arrears, including the arrears of months owed by the previous administration. The vilified governor was vindicated. Today, Kogi State has a thriving civil service built on the strongest of ethics, discipline and dedication, as opposed to the shadow it once was.
Today we have it right. Kogi civil servants are more productive. They are more responsive and responsible. They are the ones that are making us to achieve the modest success we are recording today in Kogi State.
With the civil service running smoothly, the next target was the state's economy, and that was no mean task. Before 2016, Kogi State's internally generated revenue dwindled between 300 to 400 million naira. Not only was this meager, it could hardly get anything done. Being a trained financial expert, the young governor put wit to strength and began. The first point of call was to give the state's revenue service a befitting identity, starting from its workplace. The Kogi State Internally Generated Revenue Service, the KGIRS, at the time was housed in an office complex with cubicles as offices for both directors and other workers. The governor began by constructing a state-of-the-art revenue house for the service, and the journey toward increasing the state's IGR began. Kogi State's IGR soon grew from 300 million naira to over 1 billion naira and has continued to grow upward since then. But beyond the building, the governor went ahead and put together the Kogi State's first ever economic summit in 2018. The summit paid host to Nigeria's Vice President Professor Yemi Osinbajo and several other speakers, including the Oni of Ife and several investors. At the summit, MOUs were signed with investors, and gradually the once forgotten state began witnessing investors trooping in their numbers. The only way investment can be sustained and its impact felt in the society is even when the security of lives and properties is guaranteed, and Governor Yahaya Bello knew this firsthand. Before 2016, Kogi State was notorious for being one of Nigeria's most dreaded states, being that it bordered 10 states including the FCT. Armed robbery, especially highway and bank robberies, held the state by its throat. So much so that between 2011 and 2015, 16 successful bank robberies were recorded in Kogi State, leaving several casualties. Between January 2016 and July 2016, there were over 167 recorded kidnap cases in the state. This earned Kogi State a title as the kidnap capital of Nigeria. And so bad was it that the US Embassy warned its citizens in 2015 from visiting Kogi State or going through it.
US Embassy in Abuja issued statement in 2015 for citizens not to cross Kogi State, not to come to Kogi State. The same thing with the United Kingdom and some other countries. Reason was Kogi became the center, headquarters of kidnapping, terrorism, and you had lots of communal classes in Kogi.
Not only that, the notorious terrorist sect Boko Haram had turned the part of Okene in Kogi Central a hatch nest for their bombs with an IED lab. In fact, Deeper Life Church in Okene was attacked by the terrorists and 18 lives were lost.
A particular church, Deeper Life Church in Okene, was attacked and over 18 lives gone.
All of these and communal clashes spluttered across the state made Kogi State red hot. Governor Yahaya Bello, having made a vow while still a private citizen to fight criminals and all forms of criminality to the very last after the kidnap of his mother in 2014, came with no compromise and took the fight head-on. He immediately synergized the security agencies in the state and created Operation Total Freedom, a team of security agents from the Nigerian Army, the Nigerian Navy, the Nigerian Police Force, the Department of State Security, and the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps. The OTF began with an initial 300 men but grew to 545 men deployed across the state for 24 hours patrol with 8 operational sectors. The governor provided 150 vehicles for the operations and took care of their logistics as well as incentive packages. Massive awareness began throughout the state, alerting the citizens to report crime, and to help them do so, the government launched the VGS. The VGS is a web-based application for reporting crime with ease for quick response. And now, knowing also that all crimes were first local, the governor recruited over 3,000 willing Kogites into the Kogi State Vigilante Service. They were trained at the state capital and deployed to all the local governments with over 260 motorcycles and 10 vehicles, as well as incentive and welfare packages provided for them. Local hunters were also engaged in the fight against criminality, and thus the predators became prey. Criminals could no longer hide, as every turn was a trap and arrest records scaled. The Boko Haram terrorists were also immediately nabbed and their base destroyed. Thus, the fight was on, and for the first time, the state began to win.
I most appreciate the contribution of the vibrant young governor of Kogi State, who detests crime and have always been rendering helping hands to nip crime not only in his state but across the country at large. I doff my hat for Governor Yahaya Bello, the support the special forces have been receiving from him. If all governors could emulate in terms of providing strategic information, I think the peace we have been yearning for will soon be close to us.
Today, Kogi State is recorded as the safest state in the north and one of the safest states in Nigeria. And mind you, it has not stopped sharing borders with 10 states. It only has a governor who does not and will not compromise security for selfish gain. So, when next you see that Governor Yahaya Bello is awarded a security award just as he has already received plethora of them, know that this is why. The next challenge was with communal clashes. Kogi State is a mirror of the Nigerian state, often regarded as a microcosm of Nigeria, being that it is a state with different tribes. Unlike every other state in Nigeria, the state is shared by Igalas, Ibiras, Okuns, Basas, and a host of other tribes. This being so, made the state prone to communal clashes, and so it was. Governor Yahaya Bello, recognizing this problem, knew that his first target as governor would be to unite the people, giving everyone a sense of belonging.
I can boldly tell you, anybody who can rule Kogi State for 1 year can rule Nigeria for 20 years. Because Kogi State is one state that is full of different tribes, bordered with many states, infiltrated by different indigenes in Nigeria.
He set out to unite the state across tribal, religious and ethnic lines. How best to do this than to set an example?
Please, the attention of Edward Onaja is needed here on the podium immediately.
Immediately after his swearing in, he appointed Edward David Onaja as his chief of staff. Yahaya Bello is a Muslim from Kogi Central and Edward Onaja a Christian from Kogi East. Now, before 2016, this was a mismatch, as all governors before Yahaya Bello appointed their chief of staff from their senatorial district, Kogi East. Appointing a chief of staff from a different senatorial district and religion was a signal of the governor's one-for-all and all-for-one leadership style. The governor also practiced the mythical King Arthur's Round Table governance model by ensuring appointments reflect the diversity of the state with no tribe or ethnic group left out, basing his appointments on character, discipline and selfless service as opposed to the norm of tribe and ethnicity.
In one of the first few ESCO meetings I attended, when the governor comes into the office, into the meeting where we are seated, he will look round and he will say, no, you move, you go there. He will rearrange commissioners. And I was wondering what was happening. That is this a classroom? But I later got to know that because the man is so detribalized, he does not want two commissioners from the same senatorial district to sit together.
In the same spirit of uniting the state, the governor, after 28 years, constructed a state-of-the-art chapel for Christian worship in the government house, the significance of which goes beyond politics. It is first the fulfillment of a vow he made to God before he became governor that if given the chance by God to govern the state, he would build a chapel in the government house for the Christians. And secondly, it was a jinx broken to give the Christians a sense of belonging in the state, knowing that just as there is a mosque in the government house, also standing there is a befitting chapel for them. Worthy of note also is the fact that the governor did not leave women and youths behind to play background roles only. Rather, he gave them front row seats.
We don't have a record of any secretary to the government in Kogi State spending or enjoying 2 tenures. By the grace of God, this is my 2nd tenure running. Not just as SSG, but a woman.
There are those group of people who continue to tag the youth as the leaders of tomorrow. They were not comfortable, and that tomorrow have come to reality in Kogi. Because in their own thinking, they want tomorrow to continue to be tomorrow, and we will never see Jesus come. But His Excellency begins.
Of course, you will agree with me that it's the only governor in the whole of Nigeria, if not Africa, that has a female aide-de-camp. Vice Chancellor of Prince Abubakar University, that is a state-owned university, is a woman. The provost of College of Education Technical and Kaba is a woman. The provost of School of Nursing of Bangede is a woman. In fact, the pioneer Kogi Enterprises Development Agency that was established by the government of Yahaya Bello is a woman that is a pioneer managing director. The pioneer Kogi State Pension Commission is manned by a woman. We also have, in all our local governments, 21 local government areas, we have all the vice chairmen as women, all of them. And each of the local government areas, we have minimum of 3 women as councillors. And it's also amazing to hear that all the house leaders of the 21 local government areas in the state are all women.
Governor Yahaya Bello, an educated young man, did not dim his light in investing in the educational sector of Kogi State. In just 5 years, the governor has constructed and renovated over 1,000 public schools across the state, all spread across the 3 senatorial districts, providing them with over 48,350 customized school desks, chairs, and 14,000 exercise books. He further trained a total of 1,000 teachers across the state to improve the education standard. He is noted as one of the most faithful and timely governors in Nigeria to pay the yearly 1.5 billion naira counterpart fund. Today, according to the World Bank's report, Kogi State has only 13% out-of-school children cases as opposed to the 50% recorded in other northern states in Nigeria. In 2020, the governor took it a step further and signed the bill for the establishment of a Science and Technology University in Osara, Kogi State, the Confluence University of Science and Technology. He pressed with tenacity and the institution got approval from the NUC and construction began on top speed to raise infrastructure for it. At the moment, the school is already advertising for staff recruitment and student intake. This institution makes it so that Kogi State now has 2 state-owned universities. Now you travel through Kogi State University and Kogi State Polytechnic and you'll be left in wonder at massive developments going on in both institutions. Governor Yahaya Bello committed himself to the health and well-being of Kogites from the beginning of his administration till date. In his first term, he initiated the Bello Healthcare Plus that provided healthcare services to people in remote and rural areas, including door-to-door services. Not just that, he renovated about 332 primary healthcare centers across the wards in Kogi State, remodeling them with alternative power source, such that with or without electricity, they will run effectively. The governor went ahead also to remodel the Confluence Advanced Diagnostics and Imaging Center Lokoja to meet international standard. He further established the Kogi State Sustainable Drug Supply System Committee to oversee drug distribution with an electronic data system, hence eliminating the out-of-stock syndrome which had existed before now. Today, it is on record that maternal mortality rate in Kogi State has been reduced to 100 per 100,000 beds and infant mortality to less than 10 per 1,000 beds. In 2020, the world was struck with the COVID-19 pandemic and countries began shutting their borders and locking their people down. Nigeria followed suit without recourse to the ailing economy of the country. The rush at the time left many questions unanswered and casted fear as well as doubt. However, in Nigeria, Governor Yahaya Bello stood out as the only governor who spoke against locking down the country.
Everything is COVID-19, COVID-19, COVID-19. We are shifting priorities. Enough of this. We are advertising COVID-19. We are marketing COVID-19. There are so many merchants now marketing COVID-19.
His theory was simple and common sense based.
Even our population census, I don't think we have all of it correct. We have the numbers correct. Then you're not telling me that we should lock these people that you want to plan, want to give them palliative. I don't think that was a good idea at that time. And I did caution that this is going to bring our economy down. So immediately I realized that, look, if it's killing people abroad or whatever, probably they're not used to malaria. They are not used to fever. So me that I am used to fever here, why should I be worried? Also, we have successfully managed some outbreaks here. Lassa fever, yellow fever to be specific. And some cases, some communities will consume certain substances that affect them. What we normally do is we have contained all of these outbreaks without necessarily locking the people down, without necessarily hyping it in the media, without necessarily making the people panic, even the communities that have been affected. We have handled all of this here successfully, and they are more lethal, they are more deadly than the so-called coronavirus.
The country didn't listen, and only a while later, all he had said and predicted came to pass.
You talk of hunger. You talk of several other deadly diseases. Hepatitis A, B, C, D, E, as the case may be. You have HIV. You have cancer of various types that are killing our people every day. Even ordinary malaria kills more than what they say coronavirus does. So why should I now be running away from? It's like there's a snake, a swarm of snake that is, killing people and what have you. And you say I should be afraid of lizard.
When the clamor for a vaccine came, he spoke again and was yet again ignored. He opted against Nigeria purchasing vaccine and advised that the country invested the money in the country's health sector.
A conclusion, even though it was not popular at that time, but I have been vindicated severally. I did advocated that instead of using this huge amount of money to buy nose mask, hand sanitizer, PPE, ventilator that were even killing patients, we should rather invest them in our health facilities.
Not long after that, Bill Gates came up with the same advice for Nigeria and other African countries. The governor went ahead and set the example again by investing all monies that came into the state for the pandemic relief in building a new teaching hospital in Geiko and upgrading the Kogi State University Teaching Hospital. Both constructions are currently ongoing simultaneously on top speed, as well as a state-funded top-notch reference hospital in Okene. Governor Yahaya Bello introduced an infrastructure model that was alien to Kogi State but most proficient in affecting the lives of citizens of the state at the grassroots. Before now, Kogites in rural areas were neglected with almost all attention focused on the state capital, which still had very little to show for it. Governor Yahaya Bello, knowing the critical role the grassroots plays in governance, focused much of his attention in his first tenure in distributing infrastructure evenly across grassroots communities in the 3 senatorial districts of the state. Hence, the construction of roads across communities in the 3 senatorial districts of the state. Not only that, the government also provided water to rural communities across the state. The governor also initiated the Operation Light Up Kogi East, a project electrifying rural communities in Kogi East, a senatorial district that had produced all the past governors of the state, including a military administrator, none of which provided the district with electricity. Despite doing that, the governor did not neglect the state capital, as he approved and funded the mounting of street lights across Lokoja, the Kogi state capital. Now in his second tenure, the governor has taken to give the state capital a facelift. Today, there is an ongoing construction of an ultra-modern flyover in Lokoja to be delivered by the end of the year 2021, just as approval has been given for the construction and rehabilitation of virtually all roads within the state capital, as well as Kaba and other parts of Kogi West. In 5 years, a young governor has achieved feats that several years before now were dreams and hopes. Kogi State is set on course, growing and thriving in all areas. Now we can only imagine what the years ahead hold. Indeed, Governor Yahaya Bello is doing more.
Nigeria, the giant of Africa, has been brought to her knees. The once great country has been infested with insecurity, corruption, unemployment, and godfatherism, just to name a few. In rebuilding the nation, there is a need for a credible leader, and who else than His Excellency, Governor Yahaya Bello, a visionary with a singular ambition of rebuilding the nation and driving her forward. He will make Nigeria great again. Kogi State is proof, and come 2023, he is our choice.
Together, we have made policies to keep Kogi peaceful, safe, healthy, and best for all of our people. We are developing Kogi State. Come, let me show you some of the things we are doing here in the state.
that's just a glimpse. We've got more loading.
Set a standard, a template. He has raised the bar.
Yeah.
To the extent that whenever he finish, maybe first term and second term, as rector there, I don't know who is going to step inside that
his kind of shoes.
It's going to be too big for anybody to come in. Yeah.
It's only His Excellency Yahaya Bello that give opportunity for the children of Mr. Nobody to be somebody. To give opportunity for the children of Mr. Nobody to showcase his potential.
I thank God for God giving wisdom to have recognized him and bringing him here to come and fix this institution. And for what he has done now is more or less like self-help. Very minimal and little intervention from government in achieving this particular project today.
It's 1 year of all-round development at the Kogi State Polytechnic, Lokoja. The turnaround midwife by Director Dr. Salisu Ogbo Usman is a reflection of the leadership vision of His Excellency Alhaji Yahaya Bello, the Executive Governor of Kogi State. It cuts across social, academic, infrastructure and purposeful leadership. Watch the imprints of Governor Yahaya Bello in the education sector, a special focus on the developmental initiatives at the Kogi State Polytechnic Lokoja on Africa Independent Television AIT this Saturday by 6:30 p.m. Nigerian time. Imprints of GYB in Kogi State, signatures of development and digital transformation.